Quarter Life Critics, a bi-weekly show about film, so far on TV, film, movies, the best that the world has to offer. So, without further ado, we're a little late, guys. We've been slacking a little bit, but there's a lot of production involved in
9:30
this.
is fine. Everyone's getting home from trivia night, a little juiced up, and they want some more trivia, some more content. They're hungry for content. They're scrolling through TikTok. They're bored.
They're bored. So they need some real.
On Facebook,
real
they're
shit.
bored. They're going to Instagram. They're bored. They're going through their stories, and you know what pops up? A nice
Quarter Life Critics.
A nice a fusion background.
Right.
Calling to the viewer.
Before we get into the first episode, real quick, every week we have a director who will guide us on our conversation and lead us to the truth about TV and film. And before I introduce this week's director, we're on another quest.
Bad job. I already have.
Well, we need to find the best artwork, and I think our friend Patrick, had some suggestions on what we could improve it to. If you check the little corner, we got some AI generated art right now. If you check episode 2, that was a lot of fun. We look at it, it's giant there. Now that you see it on YouTube, but it's not final yet. We're still yelling at AI to make the best podcast art possible. So what do you got for us, Pat?
Well, I had some fun with the website,
So you did the same thing as mine.
Yes. I was just going through prompts, just having a good time, and I'll show you guys my favorites from what I went through. I mean,
Did you
my
use
favorites
tricks?
that fans submitted to me, these were all, collected from our viewers, and I might have dabbled in one or two, All right, so here, I'll put them up on the screen. You guys see this?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so the first one.
Oh,
Oh, that's
pretty good.
I think that's us in the tights, dude. Discussing, having a good time.
Baroque.
What is in their hands?
What isn't in their hands? It's anything you want.
Cigars, drinks.
Because you've specified
nose
enjoying
beer.
movies, but I don't know where the movie part is.
The night was the movie. Yeah, this wasn't my favorite, but I thought it was just pretty funny and interesting style, and it kind of, just three guys. I just wanted to toss on there. I was a big fan of the tights.
I dig it.
The next one, this one's intimate. I felt like it
Close.
encapsulated the horror theme.
I like the wine glass. And I
Yeah,
think
we're
that's- I think
sipping.
that's Patrick in the middle.
I need to be comforted. Look, our shirts are unbuttoned. We're showing some skin.
Yeah, that's some LA fits.
What
Yeah.
was the prompt for this
It
one?
was-
If you click on the, maybe
Let's
it
see.
doesn't tell you.
How do I go
It's
to
just
the original?
variation from
Yeah,
original.
I know they have
Does
these
that mean that
variations,
it's
but-
another version of the Baroque one?
I think it's
No.
actually slightly different because this was the original for the Baroque one.
Yeah, but
So
it's
this
variation
that's
from.
the
Right. When
this
you
is the original
create it-
here.
Oh.
Yeah, and then you can
I
hit
see, I
like
see, I
make more
see.
variations, and it'll do some
Mhm.
different color paths. And
So this was one original, which I can try and get to in a second. This was the next one. 3 best guy friends going to the cinema on a dark and stormy day. Digital art. I thought, who doesn't like going to the movies in the rain? It's dark out. And look, we're just holding hands surrounding an adventure.
Yeah, it's good.
I like that one.
It's kind of a vibe. This is the same kind of thing, except it's a little bit more scary. I left out the digital art part, so this is what they interpreted.
It's
It
real.
looks like there's some popcorn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Looks like Ben Stiller on the right.
Yeah, and this one, this is the last one.
This
that us enjoying
they
a
have
pint
the
there?
same. All right. This guy. Oh, okay. I was gonna say this is a variation of the same one because I was gonna
Yeah.
say the guy on the left. He looks the same as the guy on the left in the second one, right?
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
Jesus-looking
See?
guy.
That's him. Yeah.
So we can try and see where the original is.
It takes a while, right?
That
You use
one.
all those
No,
credits.
No, one more. Rogue painting of 3 men enjoying. You see, it is the same prompt.
Yes, I think it's a very. Yeah, I guess
Oh.
it is. The same, yeah. But we've got a clicker in this one.
That's weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the one next to it? To the right below that look kind of like Workaholics. All the way bottom left. Bottom left.
I thought it was kind of funny too, but it didn't really like quite make sense.
Yeah, they're
And we could
enjoying some other stuff besides movies. Yeah.
we could do
Yeah, I
this.
was always getting Indian guys, so I
That's
had
good.
to specify
White.
white.
What? Yeah, we could.
3 white boys.
3 white females. Is that a big like soda thing? That's
It's huge.
No, I think the popcorn. She has McDonald's
it's-
French fries in her hands.
This is like a boot. I lost my other shoe. Haha.
My heels were hurting too much.
All right, that's
man.
what I had for my
Well, thank you for
Creations.
that leaves
Thank
just
you.
one of us to come up with some art. You know.
Hey, I'm on it. You know, I didn't want to. It's not that I forgot. There's no possibility that I forgot. You know, I just
Grant's never forgotten a
I wanted us to space it out. I couldn't give us the viewers all the content in one, you know, in one view. So yeah.
That's fair enough. All right, this week, speaking of art, speaking of making decisions and not forgetting anything, we have this week's director, Grant. Take it away, man.
Wow. I just want to say I'm honored, you know, that you guys would make me a director in this show. You know, I know there's 3 of us, but you know, I started thinking that it wasn't.
Well, you
gonna
were
happen.
last, so
You know, yeah, exactly. We had Patrick and Quinn. You know, I didn't even know. Maybe the whole show was Grant's never going to be director. No. So this week we are, you know, the film that I picked because it's October, and actually, since we're doing this bi-weekly show, it's the end of October. October is almost over. It's spooky season. Halloween is this weekend, so of course I want to do a horror film. I think last year, if you guys were following Quinn and I on GQ Review, we did The Shining, which was, you know, it ended up being one of my favorite movies of all time. The Shining is so good. I rewatched it this year. Holds up. Great fucking movie. But that's not what we're reviewing this week. We are reviewing Scream, a 1996 film. It was released on December 20th. It follows a high school student, Sydney Prescott, and her group of friends in a fictional town of Woodsboro, California, who becomes the target of a mysterious killer in a Halloween costume known as Ghostface. The film satirizes the cliches of a slasher genre, popularized in films such as Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Craven's own A Nightmare on Elm Street. Craven is the director, Wes Craven. We'll get to that in a second. Scream was considered unique at the time of its release for featuring characters aware of real horror films who openly discuss the cliches that the film attempts to subvert. So we have our director, Wes Craven. He directed this. He also did Last House on the Left. Patrick, what's that podcast you listen to?
The Last Podcast on the Left, which they have the greatest intro. Just listen to their intro sometime.
Maybe it references this film.
is it a Halloween thing or a political thing or?
It's a comedy.
Yeah, like horror comedy.
Okay.
Yeah, but just listen to their intro sometime. It's phenomenal.
There you go. So Last House on the Left was Wes Craven. The Hills Have Eyes rings a bell. Don't know what it's about, but I'm like, it rings a bell.
that scary?
A Nightmare on Elm Street, which I always get confused with A Night Before Christmas. Not the same film. One is Tim Burton. One is.
Jeez. Okay.
Freddy Krueger.
Might not want to
And
say
then
that. In
all
public,
of the screams. So he's known for his 1996 Scream, 1997, 2000, 2011, and 2022. But we are focusing just on one of those Screams today, the 1996, the OG. It stars Neve, I think, or Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, Drew Barrymore. I'd say those are probably the biggest stars. It was nominated for a lot of films, and it won a decent amount. It won International Horror Guild Best Film. It won Best Actress, Best Horror Film from Saturn Awards, as well as Best Writing. It won an MTV Movie Award and a Gerard Murr Film Festival Award, won by Wes Craven as the director. The IMDb rating was 7.4 out of 10 stars with a whopping 340,000 votes, which I think is pretty high when you talk about IMDb ratings. It had a 14 to 15 million dollar budget, and the box office was 173 million. So, before we, get into our segments, tell me about your Scream experiences, guys. How were you feeling watching the film, and when it ended, how did you feel?
Well, Grant, I've never seen this film before. This is my first time watching this film, but for some reason, in my childhood, in my history of other films, I've seen I think my cousins like to play Scary Movie many times. So instantly, the first scene hits, and we can get into that first scene. Great first scene, but all I'm
Barrymore.
thinking,
Drew Barrymore is. Yeah,
Drew
she's
Barrymore getting murked. Spoiler alert.
getting
She's
murked.
done for the rest of the movie. Is the Ghostface Scream dude just on the phone, and they're all just going, "What's up? What's up?" And
I
had
think
to-
I remember that. That's
yeah,
Scary
I
Movie.
don't know why it was. Maybe it was in the trailer or something. But quickly, you go, "Oh shit! This is a serious film. This is not a comedic film." So that
To a
was my
degree.
initial. What?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's self-awareness makes you laugh at times.
Right. It was kind of confusing because it's like Scary Movie is like being self-aware of horror films in the Scream franchise and other popular movies at the time, but then Scream itself is meta and aware of pop movies and pop culture and tropes and things like that. So there's some layers to it.
There are some layers. Quick fun fact: the working screenplay title of Scream was a Scary Movie.
Makes sense. They said it a lot.
Yeah.
They love movies.
So Patrick,
Yeah, what about you, Pat?
This was my second time watching it. I watched it last year, watched it this year again, and it was just as good. I liked it just as much. Really liked this movie, one of my favorite horror movies. And while it is like satirical, I guess, I feel like at its core it's a horror movie. And like while it's like funny at times, I feel like it's like that's not the main draw for me, at least. I feel like how well it's done, like how the mood and atmosphere through the whole movie, like, from the get-go, it's just so well done. I feel like it's just like almost like one of a kind in the horror genre, because the horror movies tend to kind of like be a little bit predictable, be a little bit generic, have bad endings, etc. And I feel like it's just kind of a great movie from start to finish, and I really, really appreciate it. Even on the second view, it held up very strongly.
Nice. Yeah, I thought, I agree. Like, I thought it was a good vibe. Like, I don't know, it's lighthearted in self-awareness, yet it's like well written still. The twists are well done and unexpected. I think the characters are solid. I can see how it made it a legacy, and has 4 sequels. I think there's 5 films, so 4 sequels after this. To me, it felt like, it's like a good-hearted horror. Like, it doesn't take itself too seriously, which I like. Its self-awareness to me is like something that takes it up a notch in terms of quality, because I think horrors would follow these tropes and have no way to address how cheesy and cliche they are, and this addressed that, in a way.
It addresses it, and I thought it was a solid film, but it does. It's hard to explain, but like the act of mentioning things, of being kind of cheeky and funny and meta, I think like knocks you down a couple points, because it's always easy to make fun of the horror movie versus like making a good horror movie.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's like it's a cheap like instead it's almost like the writing like technique. It's like don't tell, show, you know, like show don't tell.
Yeah,
It's
like
like
if
that, right? It's like what okay, you're calling out these cliches instead of like showing something original.
right.
Yeah.
Like when you think about, I mean, the best horror movies of all time, you know, what if that genre is supposed to, like, it's kind of like Marvel movies in a way where you're, like, they have a lot of zingers and funny shit in there that,
hate
you know, doesn't make it a good action film, but makes it enjoyable to watch
Yeah.
in a way. Grant's like, I hate Marvel. Don't even fucking make
No, I
that
get what you're
connection.
saying. And I see where you like that self and that's kind of like I feel like Marvel that kind of humor. It's almost like they break the fourth wall, and that's like
Yeah.
really popular now.
Uh-huh.
It's like talk to the audience. Oh, this is just a movie. We're just actors. Haha, humor.
Yeah.
And I don't personally like that, but I get what you're saying. It's the same self-aware like nod to the audience. in
Yeah,
a
it's not as
way.
bad as
Yeah.
that, but there's
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you're right. That's a good connection because I wouldn't tie those two together. I can see how if I think Marvel's thing is cheap, then I can see how this could be a cheap, a cheap interpretation. Cool. Any, like it ends. You guys are, what? Did you
Wanna
guys
jump in there?
scream? At
I have a
any
question for
times?
Pat.
Did you all right.
Did the first time you watched it? Well, Grant too. I mean, what classic? The Who Done It? I mean, how did your predictions, if you remember, line up with what actually happened? If you remember.
I don't know if I had it. I can't remember who I predicted to have done it in the first movie.
Did you remember on the second? I mean, this time
Yeah,
around?
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
So I
knew
was
it
watching the whole time and like noticing like who was absent from which scene and like how things tied together. But the whole movie, it's told of like a paranoid environment. So everyone looks so shady and so like suspicious. So it's very confusing to a viewer, I think.
Yeah, I think when we watched Knives Out, and you were like immediately, I mean, it was that guy, whatever that guy was. I mean, he was pretty obvious, and it ended up being him. For me, when I watched it, the ending it ended right, and it was a little not disappointing, but I didn't see the way that they were gonna go with it because I was pretty dialed in on two people. I was like,
Oh, you were
Got it.
predicting it.
yeah, I was like trying to predict it, and I was like, all right, it's gonna be Billy, because Billy sounds like you hear the person on the phone, and you're like, that's the way he talks. I mean, if it's not him, I'd be surprised, but I bet he's working with the cop. I thought he was working with good old Dewey,
Yeah.
whatever his name was, because they were, in the first scene where Ghostface is coming to their house and Ghostface runs out the window, but then the cop's right there or Dewey's right at the front door with the mask or something, and I thought they were kind of working together, and he was just playing coy, and he knew a bunch of movie trivia, and he was somehow like sleeping with what's her name, the main character's mom, Sydney's mom. They had a relationship somehow because he was like interested in the older woman of the newscaster, and maybe he
I mean,
had a
it's
history.
Courtney Cox. Come on.
Yeah, Courtney Cox.
Gail
sorry.
Weathers.
Gail Weathers.
Carol Weathers, which is
Bam.
funny, right? Like, come on. Gail
And
Weathers.
I
Get
was
it,
just being
Quinn,
way too
get it.
rational. I was like, I'm just trying to connect all the dots, and then I thought it was good, at the end where you kind of have someone with more of a concrete motive, and then you just got, Stu out of nowhere. He's like, just thinks it's, for shits and giggles. Like, isn't it fucking hilarious how we gut people, and then they're dead? I mean, it's just the game, and that is kind of scary because you're like, people think a lot like, why are there serial killers? Why would anybody do this? It doesn't make sense, and that's scary. So I was
Mhm.
off by one person. I thought it was the two of them, and I don't know. And then I went. I was actually at one point I might have been on to like the dad because the cop like Billy got stabbed and the cop got stabbed, and I was like I ran out of people to. But I mean Billy didn't really die, and that's another kind of film thing where if you don't see like their neck, being sliced, they might not be dead.
Well, it's just like ketchup or whatever, or corn syrup.
Corn syrup, just like in Buffy.
Carrie.
So that's me. I don't know. What about you, Grant?
What do you mean?
Did you have a prediction,
Oh,
You- or did
Yeah,
you just go along for the ride?
I mean, Billy to a degree, like, and if you rewatch it, like, I was, when I was putting together the script as the director, like, I was rewatching a decent portion of it. And, like, Billy is, like, talks like a serial, like, he's fucking off putting, bro. Like, he is not, you're not, like, he's just an off putting dude. And, I mean, there's a scene with him and Sydney, and, I mean, he's just he's just like a shitty dude, like in general. Like they're dating. He's like, you've just been like different since like your mom died, and she's not coming back. You just gotta move on. It's
Got
like-
boned.
he's like, when my mom, like went away, like I just moved on. She's like, Billy, like your parents got a divorce. It's different.
My mom got raped and murdered.
Fucking murdered. We got raped and gutted. Like he's like, whatever. Like you gotta move on. Yeah, no.
You
he
doing
was
anything
off-putting.
Friday?
Yeah, he's like, so we fucking banging or what, bitch? Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy
And he
was
had like
really-
always the white tee and like the greased back hair, and his eyes were just like crazy. And
Yeah, he has like kind of like dead eyes in a way, like yeah, but like yeah, he does have crazy eyes.
yeah.
Well, let's jump into clips, guys.
Cool.
So
I'm down.
you guys have all sent me, your favorite clips, and we'll start with Quinn's. Let me pull this up here. So I asked Patrick, Patrick and Quinn, and this is a recurring segment, to, shoot me over one of their favorite clips for the film, and that's what I'm going to share here. All right.
So they're at the anybody who's just listening, they're at the video store. So this is kind of like a midway, maybe quarter into the film.
And I
where,
forget, yeah, you can see the screen. This is with Stu, and I forget the other character's name.
Brandy.
Brandy. He is kind of the horror trope king. He knows all the horror cliches. He's a horror expert.
He's almost the narrator of the film.
He almost is. And
in a
with
way,
that,
he gets a
let's
lot of
get
things
in-
right, but he also gets things wrong. So I mean,
Let's
you
get into
can't-
this clip.
Yeah. I do not hear it, Grant.
Oh, you cannot?
I cannot. Can you hear it, Pat?
Nay. Fun fact.
I can hear it. Let's try this again.
I wanted to hear Pat's fun fact.
That's Shaggy from Scooby Doo. Did you guys recognize him?
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't recognize him, but it kind of makes sense.
With the crazy tongue.
That math.
Now?
Nay, sir.
Still a no-go. Here, you want me to try it on my end?
For the first time, screen, share system audio. Let me try one more time.
I'll try sharing the video, if possible. If you know what I mean. Shaggy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes. I understand. Let's proceed. All right.
No. You know what I think it is?
There we go. Yeah.
You know, I think it's her father. You know, why can't they find her pops, man? Because he's probably dead.
It's true.
His body will come popping up in the last reel somewhere. Eyes gouged out, fingers cut off, teeth knocked out. See, the police are always off track with this shit. If they'd watch Prom Night, they'd save time. There's a formula to it. A very simple formula. Everybody's a suspect. Telling you, the dad's a red herring. It's Billy. How do we know you're not the killer?
That was a short clip.
It's good.
I like it. One, he kind of yells at everybody's a suspect. I think this is a good film where, even that movie guy, I could see a role reversal or reveal at the end where, he's the killer. You're like, oh my god, of course it was the guy who knew tons about horror movies. Like, they accused him in the beginning, but then he's also saying facts. Like, straight up, he's like, Dad's red herring, Billy did it, which is 100% true in this film.
Yeah.
So I liked him.
Yeah,
I-
that's. Oh,
Go ahead.
it's a. Actually, I forgot my train of thought.
Destroyed his thought.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
I thought Stu brought so much to this film, like his acting and his zaniness, especially towards the end, was I don't know. It's just like refreshing, and he's over the top in acting in a lot of ways.
He's crazy.
He's not. Yeah, he's not like a typical believable. Like he's not like subtle at all, right?
No.
Like he is over the top, very eccentric, and hilarious, frankly. So I thought and you can see that in this film, and especially in the scene, you can kind of see. I think this is when you start to kind of see his, like, he has very exaggerated like facial gestures, and yeah, he's great. He's good.
I also think he is typically, you would think it like in a cliche way, like that kind of character is usually like one of the first ones to die, like the obnoxious male that like is not afraid
Yeah,
of
the alpha
anything.
male,
Like, yeah, he's
yeah.
dead right in the beginning.
Mhm.
But in this case, he was the killer.
All right.
So that was my clip. Thanks for enjoying my clip. Thanks for playing my clip.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, I might have to skip around. If I share by video,
Yes.
can you skip around or no?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
What if your father snapped? Your mother's anniversary set him off, and he went on a murder spree, killing everyone.
Except for Billy and me.
that
We were
wrong?
left for dead.
Then
So
he
this is I brought this like
you
this transition
and
as well.
shoots himself in the head.
Stu during this scene is
Perfect ending. I thought of that. Watch this. Ready?
Yeah. Yeah! I'm ready, baby! Hit it! Get up! Yeah, man, get up! Hit it! Go on, man. Jesus. Oh, my turn.
Don't forget, stay to the side and don't go too deep.
Okay. I'll remember.
all right. This scene, and without watching the whole thing, oh man, I just think he's hilarious. And when specifically when he's trying to, like, Billy hands him the phone when he's bleeding out, or no, when Sydney runs away with her dad, and they're like, "Where'd she go?" And Billy gives her the phone. He's like, "Hello? My parents are gonna kill me. Like, what are my mom and dad gonna think for being in so much trouble?" Like, dude, he's I don't know, he's hilarious.
He loses the gun too, and the gun's like missing. He's like,
Yeah, I just
"We got a problem." Yeah, definitely has the true traits of a psychotic killer I mean,
Charming, hilarious,
yeah, it's
good looking.
You said it. um, but yeah, thanks for your clip, Grant.
You're welcome. This is Patrick's clip.
Dewey, where the hell you been?
I was keeping an eye on Sydney. Thought you quit.
I did, but damn it.
So this is gonna be
Dewey,
looking nice
Vital
for you.
phone just faxed
Talking to the
us.
captain.
Those calls are listed to Neil Prescott, Sydney's father. He made the calls with a cellular phone. It's been confirmed.
They time up their like
Well, there's no way a
cigarette
cellular
and
could've
ice
been
cream
cloned.
licks at the same time, but
There's more.
I don't know. I
Guess what tomorrow is? The anniversary of his wife's death.
Yeah, you're
We'll
right.
keep the roadblocks and the curfew in effect through the night. If he's not picked up by morning, then we'll do a house-to-house.
That is true. I know.
She's with my sister. Want me to bring her in?
You need a hit of something, right?
Not just yet. Let's find Neil first, make sure he's our man. You stay close to Sydney. Don't let her out of your sight.
Yes, sir.
It'd be funny if he dropped the cone,
it would have been
you know,
yes.
and then crushed the cone with his.
And then he
foot.
just has like a trail of ice cream.
Yeah.
I chose this clip
Yeah.
because I thought it was hilarious. Quinn thought Dewey was the killer because on the rewatch, he was by far my favorite character, and I just thought he was hilarious with how like he gets no respect from everyone. He's very childish, and I just really enjoyed all of the scenes that he was in. Like those are my favorite scenes, and this is just kind of like a lighthearted one. There was another one where he's berating his sister, who's Sydney's best friend, because she's bossing him around at his place of work. And he's like, Mama said you're not supposed to call me like Dewey. You're supposed to say Sergeant Dewey when we're at the office or whatever. And it just, I don't know. I just really enjoyed his antics on screen.
Do you remember the scene right before the scene?
Is that in the grocery store
Yes.
when they're like following, Ghostface is in there following them?
Yeah, and they're at the ice cream section, and then
You see him in the
I don't even
reflection.
think I caught it on the first run, but then like going back, I getting the clip, and I was like, oh, like that, Ghostface would have got the ice cream. The cop, yes, he's got the ice cream. But,
Yeah, and like I didn't even know. Like, yeah, you see him in the reflection. I noticed that like more the second view. Like they close the door and like. you
Yeah,
see
it's really
Ghostface
short,
behind.
and then he's
Yeah,
there,
It's
and
just the same. Yeah.
I don't know. There's some like crazy people that have whole 30-hour-minute YouTube videos on like every single time Ghostface appears. Who is it? Is it Billy or is it Stu?
Yeah. Who killed
And-
who?
And like sometimes people have theorized like maybe even in that store that wasn't even one of them. Like it was like someone playing a prank. I don't know if that's a cop-out answer or like in the bathroom scene. Like people don't think that was actually one of someone made a video about that's not actually one of them. That's a student playing a prank in the
I
bathroom.
could, that one makes sense. But then the principal gets stabbed, so I
I
Yeah,
don't.
why do they say that? Did you watch the whole 30-minute video?
No, I did not. I think the TLDW is like there was never a knife shown. It was just a costume in the bathroom. So maybe, I don't know.
Which going back a little bit to our first impressions of the film, like you don't really realize that this movie was the origin of that mask. Like you don't really realize like this made that mask a thing. Was it even a thing whatsoever before this film? I don't think so.
I think there might have been a variation, but I think it was custom made. Because when I was reading the Wikipedia, I think they spent a bit of time like designing the mask.
Yeah. Which is crazy because you see that all the time, and
Yeah, you see those
often you don't
daycare
really
workers?
know the origin of it. Yeah, dude, what the fuck? I know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't know that was in
It's
the
like a
news.
daycare where the employees would just literally terrify the kids with horror masks. And
Yeah,
one
with
of-
like a
with
screen mask,
Ghostface,
just going
like,
into like a kindergarten or even younger. Just kids are
for
terrified.
what? Yeah, for
They have like
what
felony
reason?
charges now.
Yeah, dude. Good, good.
I mean, yeah, out in the middle of nowhere too.
Speaking of costumes,
Yeah.
when they're in the school, Wes Craven actually made an appearance. He was the janitor, Fred. And do you know
Oh.
what costume he was wearing?
Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
wearing
it was-
Freddy Krueger's costume.
That was a weird scene. I kind of dismissed it, but I wrote a note. I was like, why is the janitor Freddy Krueger?
I don't know why, but he was.
Cameo.
Yeah, just strangeness.
Did speaking of people that play people, I love the principal. That's the grandpa in Click, one of my favorite movies.
I think he's known for more than Click.
I'm just,
I
I'm
know,
just
but every
waiting
time
until
I go,
a
"That's-"
director picks that film at some point.
At some
Just
point. At some
watch.
point.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, I
that's,
don't know if that's
Saul
his
Goodman.
most famous.
Saul Goodman.
Starring role.
Yeah, Breaking
Oh.
Bad.
Saul Goodman. What?
Who? Saul Goodman.
That's not Saul Goodman.
Is it not?
No, that's the guy from. He's the Fonz. That's what he's known for.
Oh, why did I think you're right? Yeah, yeah.
Henry Winkler.
And yeah. I don't know why I thought it was.
Bob Obendirk is.
Oh, he's in Barry. I'm like confusing the two. My wires are.
Oh yeah, he's in Barry too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, he's the act.
He's
the
the acting coach.
right? Yeah. yeah.
That he does a good job in that one. That one too.
He's an.
All I
eccentric
gotta
fellow.
say is when if you Google Henry Winkler and you have like the films listed,
Yeah,
like
like
the
the top
Google thing,
10 ones.
if, there's 7 movies listed and Click is one of them. So
Click's number 3
7.
on
number
IMDb.
7 for me. Oh,
Telling you,
what? Oh,
plays a
you're
pivotal
right.
role in that film. Real turning point.
Well, that's for another day.
Yep.
Next segment, let's jump into it. So we all, one thing we've been doing for the past 3 episodes, we've been kind of pinning each other against each other with some sort of argument, some sort of debate. I think, last film with Pirates of the Caribbean, Quinn picked different ships to argue which ship's the best. Well, there's no ships in Scream, but you know what? There is a lot of killing. There's a lot of death. So, what's the best death? And when I say this, it's not actually. I'm not asking Quinn. I'm not asking Patrick what they think the best death is. I actually assign these guys deaths, and I assigned myself Death by Garage, which I thought was a great one. I don't know if you guys remember, or if just to jog your memory in the film. She I forget her name, but she's trying to cross
pretty
through
forgettable.
a pet, a dog door built into the garage, and then was it Billy or Stu? In Ghostface, opened the garage door, and she ended up getting hung.
Tatum Riley,
Yeah, Tatum.
Sydney's best friend.
I assigned Quinn.
good looking.
Quinn has to argue that the best death was death by TV, which was Sydney dropping the TV on Stu's
On
face.
Stu? Okay.
Which is a pretty good one. And then Patrick, you have to argue that the best death was actually the classic cutthroat death of Kenny, who is the reporter kind of sidekick, where he was killed in the van by Throat.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll kick it. Patrick, why is that the best death in the film?
It's not flashy. It's simple. It's effective, and it's got theatrics. So there's a play into it. They kind of know it's coming. There's a fear. They know the killer's there. Sydney runs out of the house, scrambles, tries to get into the van. Kenny is asleep, doesn't know what's going on. Quickly checks the camera after letting her in the van. Sees Scream about to kill Randy on the couch. Moment of terror. They quickly realize the camera's delayed. The door's open.
Seconds.
Where is Scream? Quick slit throat, and then it
Quick
doesn't
slit.
even stop there. It's a beautiful, beautiful slice. Doesn't stop there. The body gets stored on top and causes a car crash later. Just a,
The
some would
chase
say it's an
continues, though.
avalanche.
Yeah.
Some would say it's an avalanche.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that. Well, Quinn.
lame, in my opinion. But I thought, well, thank you, Grant, because you prompted this best death, and I was like, all right, I gotta be ready. You know, who knows what's gonna come my
Oh, you're
way.
a side one. Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
And then, but then I was
you
thinking,
had-
like,
yeah.
personally, what is the best death? What if I had to pick? And then if I had to pick, Grant, it was the TV one. That was the
Death by
coolest- That
TV.
was the best TV. That was the best death. Because I mean, it's just, it's unexpected. It's a slasher film. Everyone's getting fucking slashed. Oh, you're dead. Oh, you cut your throat. Oh, you got hit in the head. But for someone to get basically double tapped with the TV, shocking, probably not very realistic. In real life, it'd probably just fall on you and it'd be very heavy on your head. But this is a movie, and it was electrical, and
No, let's take a moment to talk about the realism. I think that realism takes away from it being the best death. So I'm glad that you pointed it out, because I think that's a big flaw in it being the
yeah.
best death.
Why don't you tell me what is the best death then, Grant?
The most realistic of them all is the death by garage door. As I talked about. It's Tatum was really thought Ghostface to Billy Stu was joking. Quinn, in your analysis in your
Yeah.
YouTube videos, who was it? Who was in this scene? Is this Stu or Billy?
Stu, because I think because this is where he tells her to go get more beer or something, and he says I'll be right back.
Isn't Billy upstairs with Sydney?
Yeah, Billy's having sex, and Stu. It's funny because the movie guy Randy or whatever his name is like, oh, anytime anyone says like I'll be back, like they'll end up dead, and then he makes that joke, and he's like, oh, next thing you know, you're gonna end up with a knife or something, implying that he's gonna die by a knife, but actually he's holding the knife because he's trying to kill Tatum.
Yeah. So one, I was surprised that Tatum thought it was a joke at first. I think if anyone pulled that shit during a time where the killer is at large,
People are dying.
I don't think it'd be funny at all. I don't think it's like not funny at all. But this was by far the best death, because come on, how many movies has a death by hanging a garage door? I would say none, besides this one. I don't know if the other Screams has it. Maybe Scary Movie has it.
I still don't even know, what did she hit her head on, really? I mean, just the top of the garage, or was there a pointy thing
The top of the garage.
like up the building? You know
Do you know,
what I
that's
mean?
That's a really good point, Quinn.
I'm going back to real.
Is that you, Randy?
Here, let's skip ahead.
Definitely Stu. Oh wait, Stu was right there. Oh, Billy hadn't been to the party yet, so it's Billy. And then he comes to the party right after.
Oh, maybe you're right then.
This is a strong garage door.
Yeah. Garage door's
Yeah, it's just the top.
I mean, they added that squishing sound effect. I don't know if that would kill you.
This
One thing I
very quickly. Go ahead, Quinn.
Sure. I don't know if you saw this or noticed this, but this is them at the fountain when I was watching on the rewatch, and the fountain is exactly lined up with her head, and the water's spurting. And that's just another fun fact.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. That's
I was arguing for you, bastard.
yeah. No. All right, that was a good argument, everyone. I'm gonna award it with. I'm just gonna award it with Pat. Pat.
Whoa,
Thank you,
there's
director.
There's awards.
Yeah, well, someone has to win the argument, right?
What if
the
the
debate?
direct? I don't know. We need fan
It's
vote.
Quinn,
We need a
you know,
fan vote
Quinn
from,
lost as soon as he said it was unrealistic, and it would just be a heavy TV on your head.
Yours is unrealistic. It would just kind of like squish up against your head,
Well,
and
I
then
didn't.
you'd be
I didn't
like,
call it. I didn't call it
stuck.
out though.
"I'm stuck."
I agree. Best death. Thank you, Grant. Appreciate it.
Yes, of course.
Most realistic.
You know, we'll talk about it during the report card a little bit more. But you know, when we just play that clip there, when the music comes back in, I thought a really strong point of this film is the music and the score, and how casual and high schooly the music is, in contrast to the horrific events at play. But speaking of horrific events and cliches, what was your favorite cliche that Scream referenced or defied? So this film was probably, you know, it's most known. I think if it didn't self-reference horror references, it could have potentially been not as iconic of a movie. I think it was really known for recognizing the tropes that were specific to the horror genre in film, and it referenced them and it defied them, or it referenced them and kind of fell into them a little bit harder. So, Patrick, why don't you take it away as winner of Best Death?
Thank you. So my favorite was I really enjoyed Randy and his like omniscient narration, because I felt like just before this I had watched Halloween, and in that movie it's very frustrating because you're looking at these people in a terrible situation and they're just making wrong choice after wrong choice after wrong choice, and it's like so frustrating. And in this I feel like it actually feels like you're in a real world scenario that like people are acting like rationally, and they're kind of aware of what's going to come and working against their death. Whereas in some of the other horror movies I've seen, like it almost seems like they want to die. Like they're just like, oh, I give up, you know, Jason, Freddy, Michael, whoever, just kill me. I'm ready to be done with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there, you know. I think the self-referencing of this film was copied or inspired the film of Cabin in the Woods.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
That film I like because of the same reason why I like this film. I think it's hard to get around horror tropes and be taken seriously. And so I think one avenue is to reference them in your film and explain why people are acting how they are and making bad choices, and why they're even in this ridiculous situation to begin with. How is this killer, you know, walking around rampant and all that? I think Scream did a good job, and as well as Cabin in the Woods. And I like that, you know. I like calling out the ridiculousness of the horror genre, or either just rocking it out of the park and I define the cliches in a way where you're not following them, you know, like, and you're just actually not really, you're buying into the cliches, and the characters are being smart, but they still get fucked, right?
And that's so hard to do.
That is hard to do. Yes, that is hard to do. Quinn.
Yeah, I think we touched upon mine a little bit earlier, but I would say the whole look behind you is one of my favorites. It was one of my favorite scenes too, because it built upon itself. You know, they spent a long time. They got the camera in there, and then they got this news van, and then they're watching, and they kind of call out that there's a delay. There's no really good reason for a delay.
I know,
what
right?
is
It's
live
like hardwired, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's just a little portable thing.
Well, it was a portable digital camera, but it's not like I could understand a couple seconds, but like 30-second delay. That's convenient.
Hey, technology has improved a lot in the
Yeah, this
in the
is
last 30 years.
1996, and that's, you know, you're going from a van to like a random thing in a house that's not your house. I think that's pretty good.
Could be. anyways, they just built it up where the guy, he knows all the stuff. He was already one of my favorite characters, Randy, and then he was telling, I mean, they were like, look behind you, blah, blah, blah. He's watching the screen, and then you're watching him and Ghostface, and it's, oh my God, look behind you. And then and then they go all the way to the van situation, and then that moment when he realizes it's on a delay, and then it's like, oh my God, look behind you. And there's a lot of look behind yous. So I think they did that well.
It's ironic that your favorite cliche is the best death, you know?
I didn't say the best death.
I just kind of,
It's just funny.
You
how
know,
it
the
lines up like that.
situation leading up to his death was very good, but his actual death probably like falls a little short of others in the film. So
yeah, I understand you're still hurting.
it's okay.
I would say mine is towards the end where it was probably one of the most self-reference. I felt like they started self-referencing more towards the end when after Billy and Stu kind of revealed that they were the killers. They started saying, hey, you know, this is how it's gonna happen, blah 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 blah. And Courtney Cox ends up shooting Billy, and then what's his name? Who's the guy who works in the movie store?
Randy.
Randy is back and like alive, and then they're all standing over Billy, and then he's like, "This is where, you know, the killer comes back for, you know, a crazy surprise, or
final
unexpected."
scare.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word. One final scare. And then he like does wake up, and then she shoots him. She's like in the head. His head doesn't explode or anything. It's just like fine. And then she's like, "Not in my film." I thought that was good.
In Halloween, just how frustrating it is. Basically, Michael is chasing this girl all throughout this house, and every single time she hits him with something, and then he like gets knocked out, and then she just runs away, leaves the weapon. She's like, I don't need that knife anymore. I'm gonna go hide in the closet. And then he just comes to go get her again, and it's like,
And then grabs the weapon she left.
yeah, and then she like gets away, knocks him out again, and then leaves the weapon again. Doesn't just like kill him, and goes hiding like behind the couch. And it's like 20 minutes
Instead
of
of
that.
slitting his throat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just like I'm like, what am I watching?
Yeah, that's not great.
Do
Yeah.
you remember what they mentioned about? I mean, they said the movie Halloween in the film. They said so many different things about different movies. I don't remember what.
At the start with the knife. When they're on the phone, what's your favorite movie? Halloween, and she like had the knives.
Oh, okay.
But then the last.
Jason was Jason's mom. You should know this.
Oh yeah, that's true. That wasn't Halloween. That was his favorite movie, I think. I don't remember.
They had a lot of references. It could have been anybody. Cool.
All right, guys. You know, let's see. We got our last segment quickly, which is pick your hero. I actually listed 4 to choose from, so it's not anyone. I listed Sidney Prescott, Billy Loomis, Gail Weathers, which I still think, you know, she wins best character name. Come on, she's a Weatherman. Gail, like, you know, like a Weather. Yeah. And Stu Macher. Who's your one? Quinn, take it away.
Who's my hero? Who do I?
What character did you think was the strongest? Who had the strongest? So maybe acting comes into this.
Oh, and then maybe I would say. I'm not gonna say Stu. He was surprising. Sydney was all right. I think I'm gonna go with Billy. I think Billy did that sort of kind of Kevin Spacey creepy killer, but also like kind of convincing I'm a real regular person act very well, and I think he nailed
Dude, how fucked up is it? Is he like gave Sydney so much shit for thinking that he was the killer? He was like, "When are you gonna think I'm not the killer?"
Yeah,
You
that
know,
talks in that
and-
weird cadence. Like, what can I do to make you think I'm not the killer? You're like,
Not
I don't
that.
know,
Don't
man.
fucking say that shit. And then he's the killer all along. It's crazy.
I'm gonna go with Gail Weathers. She's a hard-hitting journalist. She knows a story to follow when she sees one, and she doesn't let up. She
follows it
from the
like a
get-go.
storm.
Yes, she does. She's the Gale. She's coming through, and she'll get it until the end. She's been on this thing for a year. She knew that Sydney's mom wasn't murdered by Cotton Wild or whatever the guy's name. And this was like the second coming of the murders that were similar to her mom. And, right away, she's on it. She's trying to figure out what happened. She follows the story. She's like getting into it. And yeah, you just got to admire the grit. And she's doing it all in high heels too. So like props.
They're all in high heels. Yeah. You gotta
I did
work
look
hard.
up a spoiler. I was like, I wonder if they must bring Cotton back some way, and he's like one of the main characters for the second film. So,
Spoilers.
well,
Everyone.
he didn't do it. He didn't do it.
Yeah, I gotta go Stu. I kind of talked about this before, but he was just a big surprise of, I don't know, he's eccentric in the comedy, and I don't know, his expressions, and he's like a cold-blooded killer, but he doesn't even know what he's doing in a way. Like, he's too dumb, like, to
Yeah, he's
realize what's going on. He doesn't think of the consequences whatsoever. It's pretty funny. All right. Well, I think that's all the segments that I have. The last thing that we have to do is really put some numbers and rate this film. So let's do our report card. So give me a second to share my screen. I think there's a presentation mode in here. Let me share this tab. All right, and so we modified this from last time. I know all you guys are watching closely, and before we get flooded with comments of how this is not how we normally do it, we changed some things up.
I like the color.
Mise en scène with popular vote was nixed and kind of maybe modified in the cinematography, so we don't have to explain what mise en scène is. Plot, characters or heroes, and score, which is something I want to include for this film, and I kind of touched on that before. Patrick, cinematography, the way they shot the film, scenes, that
3.5
that
stars.
that fountain behind that Tatum's head, 3.5, 3.5.
Yeah. I was reading, and a lot of the first scene, the intro that we all liked, a lot of it was shot in like a slightly off angle view, which is typically done for like, brief shock value, but they like held it there, and it kind of makes it seem like not as shocking, but kind of strange. And I think it just kind of adds to like the, like what's actually going to happen here. Like, is this a
Eeriness,
serious phone
suspense.
call?
Yeah.
She's kind of flirting. Maybe it's fun. And they do it the whole way through until the very, like, even when she's hanging. And, like, it's just kind of, like, makes the viewer, like, it draws them in, I think. So I really enjoyed it.
Quinn.
I'll do a 3. Thought it was pretty solid. I don't know if I have anything more to add from Pat. No, I thought it was good.
I'm gonna go with a 2. Like, I feel like we're on a 4-star scale. I think 2 is still solid. It's not bad. It never stood out to me. I wish I would have noticed details like that. And to be fair, I think I would have watched it on a bigger screen. I did watch it on a screen that was definitely a television, but I think I want to blow it up even a little bit more. I think I could have missed some things. But I think this was a film. I've seen this before at drive-ins, and I definitely think this would be a great drive-in theater film. Blown up. You're kind of outside. Seems like a proper environment for it. This might be a fault of my own, but the cinematography did not stand out to me anyway. It also did not stand out to me in a bad way, so I'm giving it a 2.
So that's 2.
Quinn.
Maybe I'm
plot.
yeah.
Take it away.
I gotta get more used to 4 stars. That's what you said makes sense. And 3s. Yeah.
Wanna drop
we got-
it, Quinn?
No, I'm
Last
I'm
chance.
sticking with it.
You're
No,
locked in. All right.
no, I'm locked in now.
Moving to plot though.
Plot. I'm gonna go 3 as well. I think it was solid. I like the 2, people or the killer. Everyone had a very considerable chance of being the killer, and it confused me. It can probably confused other people. You doubt yourself. They have some red herrings in there, but I wasn't right, so I can't give it 4 stars. No. The rational super whatever right left brain side of me is just like, this is a lot. Even with like a motive to like kill, like you could kill Sydney and the mom, but like then there's like a whole gambit of people that were killed, and you're like, it's not adding up for me. But it was good.
Yeah, I'll follow you up. I'm going with 3 as well. I think no one predicted this first watch, and I think with horror films, it's all right. I got a question for you, Patrick. Patrick, did you predict Halloween? Like, was there
It's
any
not a
sort
prediction.
of like killer? There's no,
No.
like who the killer is.
The first scene is
just
like
slasher.
Yeah, the first scene is like him killing his sister as a 4-year-old, and then he gets out of an asylum on Halloween and starts killing everyone. And then the movie ends with him like
Killing more people.
getting killed and then like disappearing.
Yeah, so this film, the twist, I think were good. I didn't really expect. I was kind of buying into Billy being innocent a little bit, and
open
I
his
did
mouth.
not. Stu was not on my radar at all,
No.
and I don't think he was on most people's
Like a
radars.
throwaway
The first
character.
watch. This was good. I like subverted expectations. I like twists for horror films. I think it's good. You twist away, It's kind of part of the genre. So I'm giving it a 3 out of 4. Patrick.
I'll also go with 3. I think there was some needless violence, which isn't quite explained by their motives at the end. But otherwise, it's very tight. No major like holes. Stood up on a rewatch, and I think it's very difficult to have a solid plot in a horror mystery. I think that's a really hard thing to accomplish. So they did a good job.
Nice. You want to continue with characters, Patrick?
Yeah, the characters I felt were the strongest part. I liked everyone who was in the cast. My favorite were Dewey and Stewie.
Do and
Both
Stu.
for being Dew and Stu, yeah, both for being strange, but Sydney was also kind of badass. Gail Weathers is just kind of ridiculous. I thought the characters were probably the best part, so I'll go 3.5 again.
3.5.
I'm a big fan of this movie. I like this movie a lot.
Yeah, this movie's it's a good movie. 3.5. Quinn, characters. Take it away.
You already know the answer. I'm gonna go with another 3.
Ooh, 3 and 3. Where's your? I gotta find
It's just,
all your threes.
it's just
We're running out of
solid. I
threes.
mean, weren't my favorite characters and acting performances of all time, but I thought it was good.
All right. I'm gonna follow suit with our boy
3.5.
Patrick
Damn.
here. 3.5. I thought that the characters really were a strong part of this film. I thought Sydney's performance was great. Billy's performance. It's like they played kind of like into these stereotypes, yet were uniquely them. Uniquely different and individuals. Stu, I've said he's one of my faves. Billy, great. Randy, great. It's like name a character who falls flat. Maybe Tatum, but then her death was so good, you kind of forgive it.
Did you like Sydney?
Yeah, I do. I think. I mean, she's kind of like that a little overly feisty, like kind of like, but like she's the protagonist that needs to fight back, and she's a little emotionally I don't know. I a little unrealistic, I think. But I think
You think so? I
the-
feel like she's been through a lot. Like, imagine
Yeah,
you're
I
in high
think
school
that-
and your mom's been murdered and like the killer's back.
yeah,
feel
I mean
like-
the
I'm
acting
not saying she
job
wasn't
in
realistic.
general.
Just like
I feel like the
I
acting job
enjoy
in
watching
general.
her.
I thought she did a good job. Thought she did a good job as an like acting. I thought the character. I don't know. Yeah,
It's tough.
Patrick, I
It
agree
goes
with you.
into what characters versus acting. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they tie together.
definitely do.
All right, I'm gonna kick it off with score too. I think I'm gonna go 3.5. I mean the score was just maybe it was like I just like the songs they played. Like it was just good. It's kind of hit, man. And the juxtaposition of what the content and it being a horror film and it's high schoolers, so even it's just kind of it kept the energy up in the film in a really really important way. I think if the score could have ruined if the score wasn't what it was, I think the energy in the film could have been a lot different. I really like the score. 3.5 out of 4. Quinn,
I'm gonna disagree a little bit.
you already know hitting me with that 3.
No, 2.5, baby.
2.5.
I think it's. I differ on Grant by I don't remember it that vividly. It didn't stick out to me, which is, I mean, I think good in itself. If you don't notice something, that's bad or out of place, but it wasn't something when I think back of the film, when we watched Pirates of the Caribbean, that adventure of Johnny Depp, Jack Sparrow theme song's always playing. You're like, oh my God, that just goes with the film. And I think of this film, and I struggle to come up with something. So I'm 2.5 out of 4.
Okay.
I'm gonna go
And
with
Patrick.
2 stars.
Whoa.
Similar to Quinn, even on 2 watches, I don't remember the music that much outside of when they were at the house party. I know there were like bursts of music, but it didn't feel like a traditional score, where I feel like that's kind of like, if you look at a lot of other horror movies, they have like a killer's theme almost, which is kind of interesting. And maybe they did have it in this, but it's just not. It was okay, yeah.
All right, so Quinn and Pat have no good taste in music. No,
I heard you were watching it on a small screen. You probably didn't
I
have the
was,
volume
yeah.
up, Grant. You probably had like music on, like Spotify on in the background.
Yeah,
and
I
you were
would.
like,
I mean, I watch all my movies with EDM in the background. Just bumping.
up and down now.
Yeah. So okay, we're gonna brainstorm ways to kind of sum this up for you guys live, without manually adding these up. But we're just gonna jump right into kind of our patented segment that we've been known for. We'd like to tie this back to reality in some way. You could say, how are you gonna do that? Are you gonna use Rotten Tomatoes? Like
No,
the critics?
The critics are on
No.
there.
No. Critics rating the critics. You watch how many times, and I'm sure everyone's gonna empathize with it. You see a Rotten Tomato, it's 95%. You watch it, and it's trash. The film fucking sucks. All it has to do is having one time, and then the trust is broken. You know what doesn't
Sometimes
break?
both. But audience and critics, you go, what the?
It's true. It's
True.
true.
The 94%. I'm looking at.
The people break a little bit less though. The people are usually a little bit more on point. So what we do is a segment called Over Under. This took some time to kind of hone down, and what we do is we take the IMDb rating, and we say is my rating over or under the IMDb. So for this film, the IMDb rating is a 7.4 out of 10 with 340,000 votes. Patrick, over under 7.4.
Over.
Over.
Yep.
And we saw the report card. We can pull it back up. So we
It's
got
incredible.
evidence right there.
It's my favorite horror
Incredible.
movie.
Favorite horror movie. You heard it here first.
What'd you
Patrick.
call it?
Great plot.
You-
Fun.
So you would not recommend this to a friend, or you would?
Definitely would.
Definitely would. You heard it.
Yes.
Heard it from Patrick. Quinn. Over under.
I think
7.4.
7.4 is a little lower than I expected, so I'm gonna go over. I still think it's in the 7 range, but I'd say it's over 7.4. So.
Well, it's not part of the. I don't care if it's over or under. New answers.
12 out of 10. Over. That's it.
I'm
period.
going over as well, and we don't have to get into it too much. It is one of it is a horror film I would excited to watch again. I wouldn't go as far to say it's one of it's my favorite. I really enjoy subverting expectations and dealing with the horror tropes. And honestly, Cabin in the Woods is one of my favorite horror films, and I think there's a lot of similarities between the two. And I bet Cabin in the Woods would openly say that they were influenced by Scream, as many horror films probably are, right? This is an iconic horror film, does a great job, self-aware, great characters, great plot. The score, as we all agree, is phenomenal. So yeah, that's all I got. Non-directors. Anything else you got for the show? We can do a Q&A, or you can ask me, the director, anything you'd like if you want.
Nope. Nothing to ask your ass.
Patrick, you got anything to ask the director?
No.
Patrick looks frozen to me.
He's gone. Where did he go? I think
Patrick
he's.
joined,
Oh, he's
and
back.
He's back. No questions, nothing to ask. All right. Well, with that, I'm gonna take off my headphones figuratively and as the trophy, and hand them to our next director. I hate to give up the crown, the clipboard.
The power
What's
is
it-
mine.
What's it, clap? What's it called? The clap.
Clap.
The
clapboard.
clacker.
Clacker. Well,
Can't
I'm
say that.
handing off the
2022.
clacker to Patrick Manning, our next
Thank you.
director.
It's an honor.
Our next director.
Really long applause. I know the people loved me. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Do it again.
So for the next show's movie, next show's movie, I am selecting.
I'll try to do the same one.
I'm selecting Rear Window. This is
Rear Window.
from 1954 by Alfred Hitchcock,
Nice.
and it's actually on the IMDb Top 250.
Nice.
It is number 49 with a
Wow.
ranking of 8.5. It was recommended to me by a coworker when I shared that I was doing, a movie podcast with some friends.
Shout
And he
out.
said- shout out to Stuart. And I
I don't see a subscribe. No, I'm just,
Well, hey,
sorry.
movie
this guy might be off
recommendation
the
is
episode
more,
next time.
it's more than a subscribe.
Yeah, he so it just sounded interesting. It was really well rated, and I don't think I've seen an Alfred Hitchcock movie, and I know we've kind of discussed watching one.
You
So I thought
you haven't seen
no,
it?
I don't think so. So I thought this
Wow.
would be a good one to jump in.
I'm
and it has
excited
our-
for you.
Yeah. And it has our boy from A Wonderful Life in it as the star.
I was
Mr.
gonna
James
say,
Stewart.
He looked recognizable. I was like,
Yeah.
where's that guy from?
Quinn, you've seen a Hitchcock?
If you say one, have I seen one?
Vertigo.
No.
The Birds.
No.
Psycho.
Maybe.
Psycho.
Maybe Psycho.
Well, you're going to be
feel like
seeing one by the time our
class.
next show
I think
happens.
North by Northwest.
Yep.
I feel like
that's
it's
one
another
as
one
well.
I watched in class.
I've seen all of these. I mean, like,
Have
you
you
think
seen
of
this one,
directors,
Grant?
I've not seen this one. No, I've not.
Okay.
I'm excited. I know Hitchcock. to a degree. I wouldn't call myself a Hitchcock expert. I hope I can point out some similarities to the films I've seen. But you know, I'm excited for you guys to see Hitchcock. I mean, he arguably, he is insanely influential in American cinema, like in Hollywood, and still is. You know, like he made movies, really, like actual movies.
He's the grandfather of
Serious.
horror.
He made films, Grant.
He made cinema.
No, he made
Cinematic
art.
Art. Well,
All right.
All right.
all right. Well, so next week we are going to be watching. I already forgot the name of it. What's the Hitchcock film?
Rear Window.
Rear Window.
Rear Window.
Rear View
we'll watch
Mirror.
Rear
Not
Window.
that. Rear Window. Alfred Hitchcock.
Really looking forward to it.
So that's going to be 2 weeks. Not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. We are, hope to see you guys there. We have an Instagram. Our handle is Quarter Life Critics. One kind of string there. We have a website. Quinn, don't we?
QuarterLifeCritics.com.
Yes, we do.
We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on Google Podcasts.
Yeah, all of them.
All of them. I think we're all set.
We're great. We're doing. So
But the best
please
way to
join
watch
us.
us is live on YouTube.
Yes, it is. And I was told during this podcast that my link tree was not verified, so it did not work. But next week it will, and you guys will get the link for this. So thank you all. Thanks for. I know you're not watching it live because you don't have the link, but thanks for calling that out. And 2 weeks, we'll see you all again. All right.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.